Hi guys, my name is Brandon Flash and I'm the EV Nomad. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we cover topics around the electric car world, but primarily focusing on road trips in my currently 170,000 mile Tesla Model S 70D. Yes, a Tesla with less range and slower charging than any of Tesla's current offerings. Today's journey will be taking us on a path straight north from my current home in Mesa, Arizona, through the high desert, across Utah and Idaho. As we get to Montana, the scenery starts to change when approaching and even briefly passing through Yellowstone National Park before we change our trajectory almost 90 degrees to head east across Montana and the green rolling hills of North Dakota to travel along the brand new I-94 version 3 Tesla supercharging corridor connecting Montana to Minnesota. We're going to be doing this drive almost entirely straight through across 3 days in real time, but for you, one video. Grab some snacks and let's hop in my charged up Tesla and go. What's up guys, it's Brandon Flash. Today we are headed out from Arizona and we're headed all the way to Minnesota through Montana. So let's get to it. I'll explain why my car is so loaded in a bit. I've got quite the announcement for you guys. Alright, we're on the road. First stop will be Courtis Lakes, Arizona. Been there many times, of course, but that will be a good stop. Then we'll head through Flagstaff, up through Page, up through Salt Lake City, and then all the way up to Montana. So I'll show you guys that route when we stop. But I'm going that route instead of across New Mexico and then up through Colorado. One, because I-70 in Colorado is closed due to the fires in near Glenwood. And I just want to go a different route than I've gone before. I've never gone this route, and I want to go across North Dakota. So that means we're going through Montana. We made it to Courtis Lakes, Arizona. So this is a 150 kilowatt station. However, there are only 250 kilowatt pedestals, 4A, 4B. You can tell because they're laid out differently. So the rest are 1, 2, 3, whereas these are 4A, 4B. So it makes a big difference. All right, let's talk about how you can tell that only the 4A and 4B are 150 kilowatt stations. So right here we've got 1A, 2A, 3A, and then we've got 1B, 2B, and 3B. Right there. And then over here we've got 4A and 4B right next to each other. So I actually took a peek in the cabinet area there, and you can see that the new cabinet is for the 4 stations. So if you have a Model 3 or a newer SX, whatever, or if you just want a better charging experience, go on those newer stalls because you're more likely to get better speeds, even if your car can't take full advantage of them. Just being that it is a newer cabinet, so hopefully it's in better shape than those older 120 kilowatt cabinets. Back on the road from Courtis Lakes, and now we're headed to Flagstaff. We left with a 14% projected arrival. I'm guessing we'll probably arrive 5 to 7% or so. Tire pressure fault is back, but whatever. Fixed the parking sensor fault that I had earlier this week. Yeah, you can see just how packed this car is. We made it to Flagstaff. We're at 4%. Getting the usual pop-up there. Let's get plugged in here. Hopefully the station doesn't give me trouble. Last time I plugged in on the 3 stall here, I had some trouble with it, and looks like that pattern might be continuing. Yeah, I guess I'm moving. Right, let's give this a second try here. Hopefully this one gives me decent rates. Well, that's good. Charge port's open. Let's get this on there. A little tricky with one hand. Nice and cool. Let's see what we get. A stall opened up from a Model 3, and now we are moving, because then I'll have my own cabinet. Hopefully this time we get a little better rates. Well, this handle is definitely a little toasty, so let's get it cooled down here, like that. Let's see what rates we get. I am glad I moved, so that's already way better. And I would imagine we'll probably get up to 117. Battery is fairly warm. So at 125 degrees Fahrenheit, average cell temp. And we're getting 74 kilowatts, so less than I would want, but acceptable, I suppose. And it's slowly ramping up too. Got some work done on my laptop. We're about to head out from Flagstaff. We're departing with an estimated arrival to Page, which is gonna be a new supercharger for me. With 15%, 133 miles. We're charged up to 70%. It's raining, so glad I didn't wash my car prior to this trip. Looks like my windshield coating is still working well. Model 3, Model S. Let's get unplugged. You can see down there where I draped the cables over those stalls because they were not working. But let's get unplugged here. And hit the road. Arizona, this is going to be a long one. So right now we're at 5% and it's saying negative 79%. So we probably need to charge to 90, 95%. Because we're not really going on a normal path, I would say. Most people would normally be coming out of Vegas here and going up this way, not really coming up from Phoenix and going that way. So let's get plugged in. There's not really much around here, but it is beautiful, so I am going to fly the drone. Car's pretty filthy from the rain and the dust, so I guess I'm glad I didn't wash it. Definitely got a lot of stuff. Luckily with the tint you can't really see it, but you can see that the car is squatting versus the front. 112 kilowatt, excellent by my standards. Pack is 121-ish degrees. So let's just see. Let's check our progress here. So we're just over 300 miles into the trip. a little over 135 miles on this leg. Over 170,000 on the car though. Probably gonna pull out the drone. It is just crazy beautiful. And I did check, it's actually uncontrolled airspace here. Try and get some of those views. Try out the new digital zoom on the Mavic Air too. Charged up to 90%. I see an older Audi A4 in the parking lot that's really smoking, so I'm gonna go check on them and see if they need any help. I used to own one of those, so I'm pretty familiar. But otherwise, just gonna let it charge up to probably 95, 98%, and then get on the road to Utah. Well, this is definitely going to be a tight leg. We've got 185 miles to go. We're charged up to 98% right now, still pulling 4 kilowatt, plugged in at 5%. There's no superchargers along the way at all. There are no level 2 chargers really, except unless we detour to Bryce, but that doesn't really help. I'm probably just gonna go 60, 65 miles an hour until that changes from 5% to an actual real number, because 5% just means that the car knows you'll get there, but it doesn't know what percentage you'll get there at. So I'm hoping to arrive somewhere between 4 to 8%, but I'd rather not push it early on. I'd rather have a buffer and then burn it up at the end. Unfortunately, wasn't able to fly my drone. I tried to put it in the air, and then the DJI app said restricted zone, even though I looked on the sectional map and it's very much not a restricted area. So it's pretty frustrating that DJI is trying to decide that for me, even though I'm Part 107 licensed and I can make that decision for myself. But I guess I don't really have a choice. It wouldn't let me unlock the zone or anything like that. It just wouldn't let me take off. I guess that's a big reason why a lot of people will buy the Autels now, because they don't have the geo-locking. But anyway, I got some shots. I'll kind of show you guys that. But frustrating to say the least. When I have a drone, I have spectacular scenery and I can't fly. So let's get on the road here from Page, Arizona, and head to Beaver, Utah. 185 miles, little over 3 hours. We'll probably end up beating that depending on the speed I go. And then that'll put us right around sunset. Just unplugged. Car's already telling me to stay below 65 miles an hour to reach my destination, and we haven't even moved yet. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it doesn't involve a flatbed. I'm gonna do everything I can to avoid that. But let's get this show on the road and enjoy some of the beautiful scenery. Well, we're currently going 49 miles per hour. I was going 50. And the car is saying we need to charge to make it to the destination. I'm going to trust the trip planner, and it says we'll arrive there with 3%. I'll just keep adjusting my speed as needed. Just listening to podcasts and hope we make it. We're about halfway through the drive to Salt Lake area, or to Beaver, I should say. We're currently at 43%, and the car thinks we'll get there with 5%. and it's kind of been floating between 3 to 6%, and I've kind of settled in at 50 miles an hour, which is not fast, but I can always speed up later on. I'd rather go slow early and then be able to go fast later rather than have to drive even slower later on because I drove too fast to begin with. Some of these tiny towns are just adorable. Like, look at this nice little town, just middle of nowhere, Glendale, Utah. Pretty trees, mountains, it's golden hour, or close to it anyway. All these little houses. The last town I went through, it had like a bunch of little shops. We made it to Beaver, Utah, the longest stretch of this entire journey. At least I think so. Almost 190 miles on one charge. Underrated efficiency, or sorry, overrated, I don't know. Less energy use per mile than what the car's rated for. We pulled in at 4%, so I guess I could have gone faster towards the end. Let's get plugged in. Man, it feels good to stand up. There we go, plugged in. There's Dairy Queen, Timberline Restaurant. I'm gonna look that place up online and see what their menu is. Maybe I'll get something there. Pretty sure that's an old like hydrogen station. They had a tank there actually when I was here last, which was when I bought the car. American flag, 8-stall V2 supercharger, do-it-yourself and a touchless automatic car wash, and a gas station. Apparently can run Mexican food. I think that's what that says. I don't know. Probably gonna walk around, investigate the Timberline restaurant, and relax while the car charges. Went inside to the gas station there, grabbed some snacks, used the restroom. Thought it was a little strange. Almost no one was using a mask or like caring at all about anything COVID-19. It's August 18th and it's still very much a thing, and everywhere else people are wearing masks. So I guess Utah didn't get the memo, or at least Beaver, Utah didn't get the memo. Anyway, let's hit the road to Nephi or Nephi or however you say it, Utah, and get the show on the road, and then head to Salt Lake. We'll get some in and out before we go to the Salt Lake Supercharger, and then we'll head north from there. Made it to Nephi, Utah, or however you say that. Looks like this should be a fairly brief stop. Let's just see what it says for calculation here. Negative 31%. We are at 10%. So we'll probably charge up to like 50, 55%. Little gas station there. Some sort of little fast food place. Looks like they're doing some renovations here. Right off the highway, there's some restrooms there, which is kind of nice that they're separate from the gas station. I don't know if they're unlocked or if you have to get a key in the gas station or what. I tried pulling on this side because I had already pulled in the parking lot for the gas station, not realizing there's a little driveway there, and the cords are not long enough to reach across here, which is unfortunate, especially for people with trailers. But 6-stall V2 seems fine as far as I can see. Not really much around here, just some gas stations. There's a Burger King, but they're closed because it is 11:30 at night. Really hoping to make it to Salt Lake City with enough time to grab some In-N-Out before heading to the Supercharger there. I guess we're gonna see how these restrooms are back here. Hopefully they're decent, I guess. Not bad. Charged up, Nephi, Utah, 18% arrival estimate. That should be plenty to also stop at In-N-Out and then be able to hold some speed. I'm probably going to stop at an In-N-Out around here so that we can get there before 1 a.m. It's 5 minutes past midnight right now, and In-N-Out closes at 1 a.m. 62%, we've added 32 kilowatt. Teslafy stats that I post on here might be slightly different, but let's unplug. And go. Good news, we made it to In-N-Out. They're still open. 12 minutes to spare. South Salt Lake, it's at the sales and delivery center with the giant flag. Pulled in 15%, so the winds must have been working in my favor. Not bad. Get plugged in here. Giant flag, no wind. Last time I was here, it was completely full, so it's a little strange, but I guess it is just past 1 o'clock in the morning. Just going to enjoy my In-N-Out, and then we will continue on. Let's see what our next stop is. Looks like next stop will be Tremonton, Utah. Thoroughly enjoyed my In-N-Out here at South Salt Lake City. So now we're headed from South Salt Lake City to Tremonton, Utah. 76 miles, a little over an hour, so should be a pretty easy jaunt, and then we'll head to Idaho. Tremonton, Utah, nothing special here, 16%. Gas station, Hampton Inn, 6-stall V2 supercharger. Get plugged in. There we go. Just hang out, relax, and get back on the road, head to Idaho. Good morning, guys. Don't remember quite where I left off last night, but fell asleep in the car while I was charging here in Tremonton, Utah. Was planning on kind of just taking a nap, but ended up sleeping through the night, which is totally fine. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here. Getting a key fob battery low warning. That's fine, I guess. I'll replace that when I get to Minnesota. Not too concerned. But yeah, let's head out from Tremonton, Utah, and head to Pocatello, I don't know, however you pronounce it, Idaho. And then we'll head to Idaho Falls, Idaho, and then all the way to Montana. But first, going to clean my windshield. Looks like it maybe rained a little bit and then was dusty last night. Same with the side windows, so gonna do that. Also stretch a little bit, and then we'll hit the road before we drive 92 miles. So I guess we could make it all the way to Idaho Falls, but we're gonna do a quick stop in Pocatello, and I'm just gonna let it rip the entire way, so that way we'll just do a quick touch and go in Pocatello. The car realized we were burning off too much buffer and decided to add a stop, so I'm glad to see the car is actually doing smart things. Made it to Pocatello, Idaho. We absolutely just ripped it here. We're at 16%. I think it initially said that we would arrive here with like 40 to 45% or so. Let's get plugged in. At a Clarion Inn in here with a Whisperer Bar and Grill. Right off the highway. It's a 8-stall V2 Chevron. I might see if that is easy to walk to. Looks like it should be, maybe. I don't know. I want to try and find a key fob battery so I don't have to keep looking at the key fob warning. Yeah, here we are. Next stop, Idaho Falls. This is going to be a very brief stop, just enough to get there. We've charged for a little bit here in Pocatello. It says we'll arrive to Idaho Falls with 15%. Let's get going. Idaho Falls, Idaho, 7%. Empty supercharger here. Got an 8-stall, 150 kilowatt V2. It's kind of in a little like office industrial complex kind of area. A little bit off the highway, but not too much. You hear those fans on the Tesla just cranking away. There we have it. Definitely getting a little dirty. You can kind of see the squat there. Hood is just filthy. Midnight Silver hides a lot of it. You can't really tell on camera. Let's see what kind of rates we're getting on the supercharger. Well, pack is quite warm. We're at 126 degrees Fahrenheit, so this is about what I'd expect. Nothing too terrible. Probably gonna explore and find some food. Well, so much for trying to find food here. Looked on Google Maps, turns out there's a Buffalo Wild Wings and then also a chocolate shop, so not exactly ideal for breakfast or just having real food in general, especially for a vegetarian. Buffalo Wild Wings is fine, I guess, for most people, but not for a vegetarian like myself. But let's talk about all the stuff I've got back here and why I have so much stuff in my car. So starting this October, I'm actually going on the road full-time in my Tesla, and I'm going to be doing a different Airbnb each month. So as of right now, I have October planned to be in Winterport, Maine, and then November I have planned to be in Fort Worth, Texas, and then from there, I don't really know. We'll kind of figure it out as we go. But I decided to not renew my lease in Arizona, so all this stuff is going to Minnesota to go in storage, because when I'm going to be living out of Airbnbs, I want to only have enough stuff that I can fit in my car. And this is all just stuff I won't really need when I'm on the road full time, since I'll be going to Airbnbs that are furnished and generally have like the basics that you need to live. So a lot of this is that kind of stuff, or just like extra or sentimental stuff that I don't really need every day, but I don't want to necessarily get rid of. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really good for the channel. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm actually going to save quite a bit of money because Airbnbs are surprisingly affordable if you do it on a monthly basis. A lot of Airbnb hosts will offer 20 to 40% off for monthly stays because it makes it much easier for them. They don't have as much cleaning. They don't have turnover. There's usually less risk with longer term stays than with shorter term stays. And they just don't have to deal with communicating with lots of people and coordinating check-in, check-out. So it's just easier, and they give a discount to account for that. So, got my car fully loaded. Those are not new Apple products. Those are just boxes, but I'm one of those weird people that likes to keep my Apple boxes. All my stuff that I like actually need on the trip is up here in the front. And then all the stuff in the back is just stuff that's going to Minnesota. So I've got like my kitchen stuff, extra clothes, just all sorts of random stuff. So yeah, that's my crazy announcement. That's why I have so much stuff with me, and that's part of the reason we're headed to Minnesota. The other reason is I'm actually helping my sister moved to Los Angeles. So you guys will see her on the return trip, and then she has a YouTube channel too. I'll link that on the next video, but I think that'll be a really fun trip with the two of us. See the flashes, kind of banter, and see how we interact, especially with both of us being kind of online people. Ended up not really exploring or anything here in Idaho Falls, but I did get some work done, so that's good. And now we are headed from Idaho Falls to West Yellowstone, Montana. So we'll soon be out of Idaho and into some of the most beautiful areas in the entire country, or at least I'm told. I've never actually been through Yellowstone. West Yellowstone isn't Yellowstone itself. It's kind of a town outside Yellowstone is my understanding, but should at least still be a pretty nice drive, and that'll be a brief stop because after West Yellowstone we'll head to Big Sky, which is on the way to Bozeman. So that's kind of a fairly supercharger dense area, which is actually really nice given how many tourists go through there, but probably not right now given everything going on in the world. Made it to West Yellowstone. There's a new Model Y here. We pulled in at 5%. Nice and plugged in here. Model 3. It's at the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center. There's a hotel across the street, another hotel there. I actually know someone that used to work at that hotel. That Model Y is all the way here from Washington, so they're a bit far from home. And then there's a turbocharged Renegade. That's cool. Sorry, I misspoke. That's a Gladiator, not a Renegade. And it's definitely turbo or supercharged in some way because that's a big intercooler. So here's the route we'll be going next. So we're going to be going straight north, and then we'll actually briefly cross into Wyoming there. And then the rest of the way will be just through Montana. We're going to stop in Big Sky, so that's actually right here because I've never been there, and I really like the town of Big Sky. I've been there in the past, not in a Tesla though. So right now we're only negative 13% at 9, but I'm probably going to charge up here a fair amount because I'm going to get out, walk around, and kind of explore. Looks like a pretty cute little town. And not to mention, I'm also getting a little bit stiff just from being in the car so long, so I want to get out, stretch my legs a bit. Find a restroom, and then we'll get back on the road when we get back on the road. No hurry at all. So that's the West Yellowstone police station. Pretty darn cool. Super old building. And then there's this really old plow truck. So they probably use this in the national park. They've got chains on the front wheels, which is weird, especially since they're not on the rear. But I guess that makes sense for traction for plowing, but just for scale, I'll switch the camera and show you guys the height of this thing. So I'm 6'3", and this is taller than me. So reading some of the info here, it looks like until 1936, the plows or the roads coming into West Yellowstone were not plowed, and as such, they had to actually get mail once a week via dog sled. Later on, they started using mail or planes with skis, but 1936 is when they started having winter access to West Yellowstone. Kind of crazy. So apparently visitors used to ride on top of these mail mud wagon things. These barrels were actually full of mail, and then people would catch a ride on top of it. And then this is like a plane of sorts, but to ride on top of the snow. So it doesn't actually fly. It just glides on top of snow. So kind of picture a snowmobile of sorts, but without a track, and instead of air powered. So I guess airboat meets snowmobile, kind of, sort of. Of course, a tourist town means tons of tourist shops. And and then museums. So this building used to be a dining hall for the railroad, which is back that way on the other side of the building. And it's actually listed on the National Historic Registry. Super cool. Ronald Reagan has been here, and he actually wore a white Levi jacket to attend the conference here. This building used to be a generator house, so this is the original way that the city of West Yellowstone actually got power, until the power line was extended from the rest of the area in 1947. It's really nuts to imagine this building powering this entire town. Man, people are getting around with their Model Ys. This is the second one I've seen now in West Yellowstone. I've seen quite a few on the road too. Had a lovely stop in West Yellowstone. That's probably in my top 10 for favorite Supercharger locations. Super cute little town with a lot of history, all within walking distance from the Superchargers, so that's really great. Easy to kill an hour plus here. Got some coffee at a little walk-up coffee shop, talked to some people from Virginia. Stumbled across the walking history tour, so I enjoyed that. And then saw this super awesome Jeep overlanding rig with the trailer, like a pull-out kitchen, dual rooftop camper, or not campers, tents. And I was talking to the guy, and man, once Rivian or Lucid come out with their SUV or truck, I guess, that would be super cool to take on road trips and then just go way off-road, have tons and tons of range that you can go way off the beaten path and not worry about it at all, or even just charge up at RV spots and then be good. So talked to the guy. He was getting like 10 miles per gallon, so he has like a 500-mile range with 2 extra gas cans that are external to the Jeep. He was playing with a JL Wrangler. That's the latest generation for non-Jeep people. And yeah, he was not happy with the miles per gallon, but you don't really have a choice when you're towing a overlanding rig with a Jeep with off-road tires. Like, that's just not going to be a recipe for good gas mileage. So now we're headed to Big Sky. We charged up to like 95 something percent. We're gonna arrive to Big Sky with like 65-70%. So charged up way more than we needed to, but I'm totally fine with charging up more, especially when you have time, or when you have a great spot to actually kill time versus just having to wait in the car. Yeah, let's pound down some miles and continue on this trip. charging up in Big Sky, Montana. Just a beautiful spot. There's all these little shops over here. And then we've got a pretty nice looking hotel behind us. Big parking lot. This is a 8-stall V2 supercharger. And it's actually really smart because they have them turned sideways like this. So that way when they plow, they can put the snow all the way. And then they actually have the signs for the parking spots set way back. So that helps a lot as well. Didn't really need to charge here, but beautiful spot. I've been to Big Sky before and it's just absolutely gorgeous here. So I figured I may as well stop. It wasn't too far off the path. There was another Model Y here, this time Midnight Silver on white performance. Guy had just got it. He had a Model S long ago before autopilot. And I was talking to him about autopilot and he was complaining that it wasn't very good. Turns out he didn't have it on, or he didn't have auto steer on, I should say. So he was just referring to the lane keeping, which of course is not going to be good at being autopilot because it's not autopilot. So showed him how to turn that on. He had the very typical acidic staining on the chrome delete, the bright work. So got that off with some glass cleaner for him, gave him some tips, and he just loves the car. He's actually from Big Sky, and yeah. So let's get going here. We'll head off from Big Sky. I think Bozeman's the next stop, then Billings, and then it's 3:40 right now. So we'll see where we end up. Might grab a hotel tonight. I don't really know. I don't really want to deal with unloading my luggage and like toiletries and all that stuff from my car, but I should probably stop. Otherwise I'll just sleep in my car again. Not a whole lot here, but maybe at some point I'll end up spending a month here just because it's so beautiful. Though it's really not much here. So maybe just a week or something and then pass through. I like that this supercharger is so close to the West Yellowstone one, so it makes it really easy to travel around here. Stopped a couple times between here and West Yellowstone just to take some pictures and just kind of enjoy the scenery. It was just absolutely gorgeous on that drive. Bozeman, Montana. We do actually have to stop here to make it to Billings, but we're at 64%. It's calculating there. So we could make it there right now if we drove very slow, but who wants to do that? So let's charge up here. Get plugged in, of course. That helps. Just a little 4-stall, 120 kilowatt V2. They conveniently put this gate, or gate, fence, whatever, that you can see through, so you can see that these are older 120 kilowatt cabinets. It's at a Hilton Garden Inn. Might try and find some food or walk over to that gas station there. So I was here last when we went to Seattle. So Billings next. They really need to put another one right about there. And there's not, of course. And then after that, after we get to Billings, we'll be all along the new V3 corridor all across North Dakota. And then all the way to Alexandria, Minnesota. Then through Clearwater, and then we'll be in Minneapolis. Went to the gas station across the street from the Supercharger in Bozeman, Montana. Got some batteries for my key fob because I'm tired of looking at the key fob warning on my screen. So I'll get that swapped before we head out. We're probably charged up to like 90-95% or so by now. But it's Montana and we'll use every bit of buffer that we can. All right, no longer trying to not get run over by cars as I'm crossing back to my car. Let's get unplugged here. We're charged up nice and full. I think 97, 98%, somewhere like that. But let's head to Billings. It is Montana after all, so I'm sure we'll use any buffer that we have. It's saying that we'll arrive with 18% as of right now, so I'm sure I'll burn some of that off. 80-mile-an-hour speed limits. Let's do it. I just saw a Fiat 500e, the electric Fiat 500 that has like 80 miles of range on a good day in Bozeman, Montana. You're definitely not getting very far in Montana with one of those because everything is far apart and the speed limits are high here. So must just be a run around town car. Otherwise, not very useful. I would have to kind of keep an eye on my range going to Billings, but I forgot there's big timber. I don't know why Nav wants to avoid that. So I'm just going to stop there for probably 10-15 minutes, and then that way I can let it rip from here all the way there. Looks like 37 minutes to big timber, but we'll definitely beat that since we have plenty of range. Made it to Big Timber, Montana. We're at 54%, which is actually better than I expected to arrive with. It says we'll arrive to Billings with 12%, but I'm just gonna stop here for a little bit. Or sorry, that 12% was based on charging. Oh, I guess not. So that's 13%. Let's get charged up. I'll leave with probably 20-25% buffer just to be on the safe side. So we'll probably charge up to like 70%. Been to this Supercharger before, again, when I was on my Minneapolis to Seattle leg of my prior road trip. Just a little 4-stall here. There were some rafts here last time I was here. But gas station, pretty nice little convenience store with like guns and pretty much anything you could possibly need to buy. It's getting a little cloudy. And it's 6:45 at night. Time to get on the road from from Big Timber to Billings, and then just look at these perfectly spaced Superchargers. 30-minute stops the entire way. In a Model 3, those would probably all be 15, maybe 20-minute stops. Just pulling up to Billings, Montana Supercharger. We've got a Westfalia Rialta here. So this is a Volkswagen Eurovan based motorhome. I'm gonna try and see if I can kind of show you guys the front somehow. But it's got a VR6 from a Volkswagen Eurovan, and it sounds like a Wookiee, just like the normal Volkswagen Eurovan with the VR6 does. So it's kind of cool in a very strange way. But man, these things kind of give me anxiety from working at a Volkswagen dealership because no one wanted to touch them. They're just terrible to work on. You can't lift them on a normal car lift, and it's just, they're a poor conversion. But you'll see in a second here after it turns, I'll give it a little bit of space since I'm also turning here. You can see it's a Eurovan. Maybe you can hear it. I don't know. Just want to show you guys that. 19%. Charged up to 99%. Ended up talking to a guy all the way from Washington, but he was coming from Virginia and heading home to Washington for work and stuff. We chatted for however long I've been supercharging, so that was nice to kill some time that way versus just hanging out in my car. We're about to take off from Billings, Montana, and then we'll head to Miles City, and then that's where I'm going to sleep for the night. I'll just sleep in my car, and then we'll continue on to North Dakota tomorrow. We made it onto the new 94 corridor. We're in Miles City, Montana. We're at 4%. That was a bit of a long jaunt there, but did it very easily. Let's get plugged in here. So this is one of the brand new V3 Superchargers on the I-94 corridor between Montana and North Dakota, and then all the way to Minnesota. So we've got 8 V3 Superchargers. We've got 2 cabinets over here. I'll show you guys that. And just to show you guys, we are charging successfully. You can see the green light flashing there. So as I've shown before, V3 Superchargers, they've got 1 cabinet for every 4 stalls. So each one of these can handle 1 megawatt of power. So each one of these stations here gets 250 kilowatt dedicated. So there's no sharing power on V3 Superchargers. So whether there's 1 car here or 8 cars here, every single post, at least in theory, gets 250 kilowatt. Sometimes they do have to restrict the overall station power just due to grid constraints, but that's usually fairly rare. This looks like a brand new gas station here. So I would assume they kind of built this with the intention with Tesla that it would be powered. So we've got the 2 cabinets there, we've got the switchgear, we've got the transformer. And it's got its own little dedicated area here with the concrete. I don't know what else you could ask for with a supercharger. This is just fantastic. And we're getting just as expected power there. 97 kilowatt at 9%. If Tesla asked me to design a rural supercharger station along a major thoroughfare like this is pretty much exactly what I would say is ideal. So Tesla really knocked it out of the park with this one at a gas station that's 24 hours, 8 V3, easy on off the freeway. I don't know how to make this station any better. It's got its own kind of dedicated area. It has Tesla parking only on every spot, and it's just far enough away from the main parking that unless this place is just absolutely swamped, I can't imagine that these spots will really ever be blocked by gas cars. I know I've talked about it in the past, but just to point out how you can tell that this is a V3 supercharger. So this ring here is kind of the easiest way to tell, especially if you're at a little bit of a distance, kind of as you're pulling up, because there are some mixed V2, V3 stations. So take a look at the charging handle, and if this is black, this little ring here, that means that it's a V3. If it's silver and metal, that actually means that it's a V2, or I guess a kind of a V1, I guess. But the metal is on the V3 or on V2s because the cable is a lot thicker, because this cable on the V3s is actually liquid cooled. You probably can't hear it over the truck idling noise, but you can actually kind of hear the fan of the radiator on the bottom of this pedestal here. So each one of these pedestals has its own little cooling system. They might be on pairs. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it is per pedestal. And then there's also cooling on the top of the cabinets. You can kind of see the radiators up top. So these ones, another thing worth noting, most V3 stations, they're actually labeled on the inside of the supercharger pedestal. So even though they're not sharing power, so it doesn't really matter, in the case that sometimes stations are down, so sometimes one of those cabinets can be down, you do want to take note of which cabinet you're pulling from. So like this one is 1D, you can see that there. So these are all 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. And then we've got here 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. That way, in case one of these cabinets is down, you can know what to look for. Usually you can tell if the station is good by looking at the lettering on the pedestals themselves. Typically, if a stall is down, the lettering will be off, but that's not always the case. Especially with V2, that's definitely not always the case. And another thing people like to do if a pedestal is down, I'm just doing this for demonstration here. If a pedestal is down, this is kind of the universal sign to not use it because it's not working properly, is to drape it over the top there. That way you can easily see it as you're driving by, as you're pulling up, whatever. and you don't park here, get out, try and plug in, realize it's not working, because that's a very frustrating experience. So if you're ever out on a road trip, you notice a pedestal is down, or you discover a pedestal is down, just drape it over the top. Don't put it on the ground, because that's not good for anyone. But draping it over the top, that way the handle is still out of the elements, but you're alerting other drivers. Charged up to 95% here in Miles City, Montana. Way more than I needed to, but I got a bunch of work done. Had a Red Bull not that long ago, so that's probably why. Now we're headed to Glendive, and I'll probably sleep there. Hopefully the Red Bull isn't having me too wired still. But we shall see. Looks like it's about 76 miles and should be a pretty easy drive. We are here in Glendive, Montana, 2:30 in the morning. Let's get plugged in. 38% used up some of the buffer from Miles City. This is another V3 station on the 94 corridor. This station's taller than me, and I'm 6'3". It's actually almost a little bit of a stretch. That was fairly common on these new handles. Orange light, just in case you didn't know, actually means that the cable is not inserted all the way. That did a handshake really fast. Look at that charge rate. That's excellent for 38%. So we've got a pull install over there, so that's always nice. I guess that's something that they could improve on Miles City if we're talking about perfect supercharger installs. So they've got it on these modular bases. So kind of a metal pedestal there. Probably makes the install pretty easy for the crews. Again, 2 cabinets there. This one's at a Holiday Inn Express. Not my favorite choice of location, but it works, I suppose. Another 8 stall. Every single stall is Tesla charging only, which is really nice. Except this one, I guess. This one doesn't have a sign at all, which is a little wonky, I guess. And it looks like they actually reused this piece here because it has a 2A. So a little strange, but it works, I suppose. Anyway, I am going to get in my car again and just rest up, and then we're going to head through North Dakota in the morning. Good night. Good morning from Glendive, Montana. We are now headed east towards Dickinson, and then I think we're going to stop at Theodore Roosevelt National Park. First, I need to clean my windshield, though. Lots of bugs from last night. It's drone time outside Theodore Roosevelt National Park. My car is currently slower than a Prius. This is floored. Yeah, it's that slow. We're here in Dickinson, North Dakota. Brian Kopp from the North Dakota Tesla Club will be here soon. So the car wants us to charge here for an hour and 10 minutes because it thinks that Bismarck is not available. However, I verified through the North Dakota Tesla Club that even though it's reduced service, there are 4 stalls that are totally fine, and that will make this trip way easier. Pack is very warm. That's why I had really slow acceleration. It's cutting power like no other. I had it all the way down to actually, I think 49 kilowatt max power was the lowest it got. So supercharging is going to be slow, but that's totally fine. We're at 20% right now. The reason it got so hot is because I was burning through some of that buffer. Let's get plugged in. Let's make sure this one works. There we go, green light. We're now charging in North Dakota. Let's see these rates. Those are actually way better rates than I was expecting considering the temperature of the pack. Fine by me. So here is the Dickinson, North Dakota Supercharger 8-stall V3. And they actually have the cabinets inside a fenced area, which is the first, I believe, that I'm seeing this for a V3 station. Usually the V3 stations, they're just out in the open because they look better, I guess, than the normal V2s, or somehow Tesla came to that agreement. Oh yeah, we can peek in here. So there we have the 2 V3 cabinets. We've got the switchgear over there. The North Dakota Tesla Club was kind enough to install this trash can as well as windshield washer fluid and a squeegee brush thing. The supercharger itself is actually at Prairie Hills Mall, so both Peggy, the owner and manager of the mall, as well as Brian, who's going to be here soon, they were very instrumental in getting this supercharger installed. I believe it actually took them quite a few years, not months, years of harassing Tesla to the point where they finally gave in and did it. I mean, they were even offering this location. They were offering a lot of different things in order to make this happen because they wanted this supercharger here so bad. Prior to there being superchargers in North Dakota, through the North Dakota Tesla Club, they would actually use each other's garages and their home charging in order to just travel around the state, because until about 2 months ago, I believe, somewhere around there were actually no superchargers in the entire state of North Dakota. So you didn't have options. You just had to use other people's home charging. A lot of people had each other's garage door codes and all sorts of things. It's kind of ridiculous, but they really wanted Teslas, so they made it work.
Brandon, thanks for stopping up to Dickinson, North Dakota to visit our V3 chargers that we're super excited to have after waiting for 6 years.
We're charged up in Dickinson up to 81%. We're headed to Bismarck next. Plenty of buffer. Was chatting with the cops, not the police cops, just to be clear. Now let's take off. What a great spot. We're here on the Enchanted Highway. This is deer walking. I forgot what it's called. We're here on the Enchanted Highway. You can see the deer behind us, my car. These sculptures sculptures are just huge. If you check out Kyle from Out of Spec, he actually met with the sculptor that made these. He happened to be here when he passed through. This is the closest one that's off of 94. I don't have quite enough range to go the entire Enchanted Highway. It's like 30 miles each way, completely opposite direction of what we're going. I pulled off 94 thinking that I'd be able to see some of these and it would run parallel to 94, but that's not the case. So I'm just gonna head back to 94 now, and then we'll continue on to Bismarck. Glad I had a little bit of a buffer from Dickinson to Bismarck so I could pull off like this. Went onto the north side of 94, and we've got another Enchanted Highway sculpture. Was able to park my car nice and close. Be sure you're following my Instagram or my Facebook page, so that way you see these as I go on future journeys. Now let's get back on 94 and continue east. Bismarck, North Dakota. Getting charged up here. We've only got 3, probably 4 stops to go until we get home. We've got Bismarck here. We've got Jamestown, Fargo, Alexandria. We'll probably stop in Clearwater, just south of St. Cloud there. And then we'll be to my dad's place. I'll just charge on 110 there, and then I'll probably end up supercharging tomorrow. Let's get plugged in here. We're at 11%. Of course, as with all the North Dakota Superchargers, I know I've mentioned it, they're all V3. So we've got a 8-stall V3 Supercharger. We've got the 2 V3 cabinets here. This is interesting. Looks like they've got an external cell modem or cell antenna or some sort here. And that's not a normal install, I would say. I probably had to switch something because it's not great cell service here. We've got all the switch gear over here. And we've got a little shopping center, kind of a strip mall kind of thing. There's some restaurants over here, I believe. And I'm actually probably going to try and grab some food. It's about noon, or yeah, 12:30. That one's focus there. And we have switched into Central Time Zone. Really excellent rates. 93 kilowatt at 17% is much better than usual. Got some lunch at the least freaky fast Jimmy John's I've ever been to. Still charging up a little bit farther, and then Jason, that lives in the Bismarck area, is actually coming over to say hi. He's from the North Dakota Tesla Club. We've interacted plenty of times online, so it'd be nice to meet him in person. We'll see what crazy hat he brings.
Welcome to Bismarck, Brendan. Glad you're enjoying our V3 Superchargers and helping you move across the country and come back, maybe in the winter.
Back on the road from Bismarck, North Dakota, we are headed to Jamestown now. We charged up again way more than we needed to, but I was hanging out talking to Jason. He stopped by after I got lunch at Jimmy John's. Least freaky fast Jimmy John's I've ever been to. Looks like 101 miles to Jamestown and should be about hour 28 minutes, though I'll probably beat that. Let's see. So it says we'll get to my dad's place around 11 p.m. So pretty reasonable time. I come to you from Jamestown, North Dakota, another 8-stall V3 Supercharger. It's at a store called Home of Economy, some sort of like work attire outfitter place. Kind of like a fleet farm, I guess, if you're familiar with that. I didn't go inside, so I'm just assuming, but that's what seems reasonable based on the signage. I'll show you guys the setup here. So what's cool about this station is that there's parking on both sides, which is really good for trailers. And even though it's slightly thicker on this side as far as reach, with a trailer or something, you could totally block all these spots along this way, and then you wouldn't block anyone else. So it gives you lots of options. We've got the two V3 cabinets here, the switchgear and transformer back here. I guess it's actually a mall, so it's Buffalo Mall if I can do this right. There we go. Just hanging out. This is the last stop before we head to Fargo. After Fargo, we're in Minnesota, so not a whole lot left on this journey, but it's been pretty easy. It's nice to see people I haven't seen in a long time, or for a few of them ever. Really no hiccups. I don't want to jinx myself, but this has been a fairly long but very easy and undramatic trip. Caught up on a little bit of work here in Jamestown. Let's head to Fargo. We are in Fargo, North Dakota. Stopped at Starbucks, waiting for my mobile order. I'll go in just a second here. I kind of placed the order super last minute, but it's BOGO. So I'll get 2 drinks and I'll get a snack. My tire pressure warning fault came back. This is the lowest temperature I've ever experienced that warning in, but who knows. I have a service appointment scheduled in a few days in Minnesota for the car to either replace the MCU, do just the daughter board for the eMMC chip, and who knows what else. Undecided what path will exactly go. But I'm going to bring up the TVMS concern. Maybe they can adjust the sensitivity or something, because the fault is saying that the pressure sensor can't be read, or that the tire pressure may not be displayed, but it displays just fine. So it just seems like a really dumb alert, and I really don't like having alerts on screen if I can avoid it. They're just annoying more than anything else. We made it to the last charging stop in North Dakota. We're in Fargo right now. I've got plugged in. We pulled in at 4 or 5%. Got my Starbucks. Love the BOGO. Sometimes on Thursdays for their happy hour, 2 to 7. Buy one drink, get one free. And then they actually sent me a 100-star offer, because I have their rewards, obviously, because I go there often, that if I get a espresso drink and a lunch item, and then also a frappuccino, so I'll get a frappuccino tomorrow, within a week, then I actually get 100 bonus points. So I usually end up using bonus points to get the lemon loaf or like a bakery item, and those are 50 points, and those are usually like $3 to $4 each. But with 50 points, you get it for free. So essentially, they're giving me $7 or $8 just for getting those items I would probably get anyway. So I'm certainly not complaining. This is a little bit of an interesting install. We've got the charging over there, but the posts are actually over here. So we've got the 2 cabinets here, and they're probably a good 100 feet from the actual pedestals themselves, which is longer of a run than Tesla typically likes to do. And then over here, this last stall I think there was probably some sort of miscommunication between Tesla and the contractor, because I don't quite know what's going on here and why just this one is turned, but yet they also have the sign there. It defeats the entire purpose of having it turned. I think maybe it was supposed to be a pull-in, but or like a driveway. I don't quite understand what was supposed to happen here or what they were intending. It all seems a little strange what's going on here, but it works nonetheless. And I'm gonna sit in my car because it is 86 degrees, but fairly humid, and I wanna enjoy my Starbucks. Time to hit the road to Alexandria. I got some work done. Was talking to a Model 3 owner, or Model 3 Performance, and he is lucky enough to have lifetime free supercharging on his Model 3 Performance, so I'm quite jealous of that. I've just plugged in Alexandria, Minnesota. This is also 8-stall V3 supercharger. This is the final link in the I-94 V3 supercharging corridor. This was actually the first one of this corridor that went live. I believe, February of this year, or February 2020, because it actually went live either the week of or the week after that I went to Arizona, before I actually moved to Arizona. I have a video about that, so you can check that out. Yeah, just charging up. It's at a Target. We've got a beautiful sunset. Let me focus it there if it wants to work, maybe. Tyler, that drives a Volt, he's in the Minnesota Tesla Club. He'll own a Tesla eventually. He's coming over here since he lives in Alexandria, and then chat for a little bit, and then I'll hit the road, and then we'll go to Clearwater, which will be our final charging stop of this journey. So we're gonna weigh my car and see how this goes. I don't know, I've never done this before, so I have no idea how this works. Coming at you here from Clearwater, Minnesota. We're all charging up. I actually weighed my car, didn't record the process because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I needed to pay attention to what was happening. But I'll kind of show you guys how that works. So you've got the scale here. So you've got multiple sections here. So I pulled all the way forward, as you're supposed to do. So you put your steering wheels on this front plate. You put your drive wheels on this back plate. So if you're just weighing a passenger car, you just want front wheels on one plate, rear wheels on the other plate. So that way they can actually weigh them separately. Then you just press the call button. They ask you a truck number and first weigh or reweigh. It was the first weigh because I hadn't weighed it before. And then they ask you a truck number. I just said it's a passenger car, and they were fine with that. But if you had a truck, that way you could have your weights of your different axles to make sure that your load is distributed evenly. So if you look at this truck here, you've got your steering wheels, you've got your drive wheels, and then you've got your load wheels, or I don't know what they call them. But either way, that way you can have steer wheels, drive wheels, truck wheels, and then you actually have two different plates here, I think, unless that's like a repair. Yeah, so those actually are two different plates, so that way you can have 4 axle weights. It was $12, which is a little more than I was hoping for, but it's kind of a cool experience, and I'll show you guys what my car weighed. And just like that, we're off, charged up as much as I need. Looks like we'll arrive to my dad's place with 33% as of the current calculation. Trying to figure out how to get out of this parking lot here. I only have 120 volt charging there, which is not ideal, but I can make it work. This is gonna be the last leg of this trip. will be about an hour, 69 miles. Of course, it's 69 miles. Yeah. Sorry for cutting off there kind of briefly or abruptly. That parking lot was just a maze. The Supercharger is kind of in the truck section of the parking lot, and there's not really an easy way out, and there were a ton of trucks being that it's kind of late at night, and you can't really see where you need to get out with it being dark and all the trucks, so I really needed to pay attention where I was going. But I think this is where I'm going to leave this video off. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that way you know when my next section of this video comes out, because we're going to be going from Minnesota all the way to California and then back to Arizona. Of course, there are going to be way more videos after that of different road trips. Of course, the like button if you liked it, which hopefully if you made it this far you did, otherwise what are you doing? The other button seems to work well too, but please don't hit that. Just want to give a shout out to my Patreon patrons. They really help out making trips like this happen. Even the lowest level, $3 a month, it adds up. Really helps even just pay for my coffee. As silly as that sounds, some of those things add up. Obviously I do work, but there's a lot of expenses with these trips. I try to keep those expenses low, but if you enjoy it, YouTube ads, well, I don't even have those yet, being that I'm only at 600 subscribers, or 600-ish. You have to get to 1,000 before they even will monetize you. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. See you guys next time.